Hi.
Hello.
Viola Green, and I have two questions. One, I want to know, Mark, about your affordable housing point. I want to hear about what you plan to do specifically around affordable housing. And two, youth violence. If you had a platform, if you could just name two really specific points that really you would bring to the table to make some changes around youth violence, I would be interested in that.
Okay. For affordable housing, I would push to increase the threshold of affordable, or the percentage of affordable units that new developments or new developers have to contribute to, up to 20% from the current 15%. And I would certainly fight to make sure that the, you know, right now the way it works is you can have 15% of the units of a new development be listed as affordable, or you can take that that equivalent amount of money and dedicate it to its own building, which will be 100% affordable. Now, I would try to get away from that second option, and that you know, I don't think that's appropriate to just, you know, build a separate, because what ends up happening is the original development is on prime real estate area, and then if they build a smaller unit which is 100% affordable, they stick it, you know, in some less desirable area, you know, off of, in my district per se, off of First Street, the industrial area. So one, I would push to increase the threshold, and also push to include legislation that the units have to be included in the original development. Just like Harbor Point, for instance, they're trying to get away from traditional housing developments where everyone in the district, or everyone in the development is low income. When you have mixed housing, you know, it put folks from all different socioeconomic backgrounds together. You know, they can learn from one another and help one another. So I would certainly push to up the threshold, and again, make sure the units are in that original development. And for youth violence, as you know, we've worked together with the Health Commission. My entire career thus far has been working on that issue, whether it's been the street worker program in South Boston or YDN in Roxbury. And I would certainly push for more outreach workers, knowing the value of that, being an outreach worker, both a street worker and YDN. For my district in particular, I was a street worker for South Boston and some parts of Dorchester, and since I left, nobody's replaced me, you know, and that's, again, speaking specifically about my district, but I'd certainly fight to have 2 or 3 either street workers, YDN workers, because it's a huge benefit. The young people have told me over and over that without, and they may not listen right away, you all understand this, but you know, it might be a couple years down the road, but they'll say, you know, having someone that I knew, that I trusted, that could bring me and introduce me to some resources is always a huge help. So, and just being out there, you know, dealing with folks directly, going to funerals, you know, talking to family members that have been affected, the psychological first aid that we do now, I think prevents a lot of retaliatory violence. So I hope that answers your question. I didn't have much time left.
I guess one last question.
Just a statement, real quick one. I like your personal touch when you wrote in your information. I dig that. That was pretty cool. It's personal.
Thank you.
With that, let's segue into your closing statement.
Well, again, well, thank you all very much for this opportunity. I certainly want and need your support going forward. I'm the only candidate in this race who, given the opportunity, has backed important union issues in the district. The issue that particularly came up at the last debate focuses more on the building trades, but again, I think it's important to note when unions need you, you need to be able to not just say the right things here when I'm in front of you all, but say them out at a debate in front of the general public that may not agree. And again, this is particular to the building trades, but I think it's indicative of taking a stand and showing folks that I'm willing to stand with the unions. But the Old Colony housing development is being redeveloped in South Boston. It's a $120 million project, $60 million of which comes from federal stimulus money. There's a large percentage of community groups in South Boston that are against a specific part of it, a 6-story structure. They're the ones who sponsored the debate that I was at. All the other 4 candidates in this race, when asked by these community groups if they would sign a document against that 6-story building and therefore against hundreds of construction jobs and the opportunity to redevelop one of the most distressed public housing developments in the city, all said they would sign it because the community groups that were sponsoring the debate were against it. And I was the only one to stand up and say, absolutely not. You know, there's too many people out of work right now. They need those jobs. And I would not, if we don't break ground by September 21st, we lose the funding. So, you know, I said absolutely not. I would not sign it. You know, there's too many people out of work and they need me, you know, pledged to them that I would support them, and I'm doing that right now. And I would do the same thing with all of you. I've been very successful thus far. I'm getting a great response from not only growing up there, but the work I've done. We've met all of our fundraising goals thus far. I'm also the only candidate in this race again that's raising a family and understands the issues that working families face. So, I guess there are no more questions, but thank you all very much for the opportunity to speak before you, and I would certainly be very humbled by your endorsement. Thank you very much.
Danielle's gonna hand out the new